Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. Staff and students at E.S. Laird School were not allowed in the building today as a positive case of COVID-19 was reported at the facility. Contact tracing has started and the school will be cleaned and sanitized prior to the students returning. There are 33 new cases of COVID in Saskatchewan, with 3 of those in the Northwest Zone, which includes Lloydminster and North Battleford. 511 cases are considered active, 23 of those in our zone. 20 people are in hospital, with 4 of those in intensive care. 31 more people have recovered. City Council is looking to alter the business license bylaw, reducing red tape and changing some licensing fees. Eric Bay reports.
Making interactions between the public and the city more efficient is something City Council is trying to do with multiple bylaws, and the application process for business licenses is the first to be adjusted. Administration is expected to return with a new process early next year.
When people tell me they have to drive back and forth between City Hall and the Operations Center once or twice to complete a process where something's disconnected, but that's, as governance, we send that direction to administration to say, can you take a look at this? And that's the response we got was lean. This is what we're looking at. Business license is our first one.
The adjusted bylaw would add the option for a 6-month business license for seasonal businesses.
Be it summertime or spring, summer type business versus a winter business, people have had to buy a full year business license. Now, subject to that 6 months, somebody says, I'm opening a specialty store without naming it that tends to serve things when it's warmer than colder. It would fit that purpose just perfect.
Council held an animated discussion on youth licenses, wanting to clear up which businesses would be exempt from the $25 fee.
I just want to clarify more within the bylaw what exactly that means for individuals, whether they can market themselves and they still don't require a business license. I just want it really written out clear so that the residents of our community, the parents, the youth, know what they need to do in order to operate a business. Most license fees remain the same under the proposed bylaw, but non-resident licenses would double if the bylaw is accepted, from $225 to $500. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
A leader in the Lloydminster faith community will soon be moving out east for a new opportunity. Jace Mackey spoke with Manzoor Azim to discuss his departure.
I'm joined today with Mansour Azim. He is Imam of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community here in Lloydminster. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me today.
Thank you very much for having me today.
So you're a pretty familiar face to many people here in Lloydminster, and obviously the Ahmadiyya Muslim community does a lot in our community, but you're going to actually be leaving here, heading to Vaughan, Ontario at the end of the month. Can you just talk to me a little bit about that?
Well, I've been here since 2017 and been volunteering, paying my part however I can to help the community, however it is possible for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community to help. And leading that part was wonderful, especially in this town. I had a wonderful experience, positive memories that will always take with me when I'm departing. So I will be going to Vaughan, Ontario to work with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Organization. This is the largest youth organization in Canada. So it will be a lot of responsibilities, especially going from a small town to such a huge responsibility is a lot for me.
So can you just talk a little bit about the work you'll be doing in Vaughan and how excited you are for that?
There's a mixed kind of feelings, especially sad for leaving Lloydminster, such an amazing town. The community has always showed us respect, love, and support, however and whatever we do. And, going to another place and a big responsibility is definitely is a welcoming opportunity for me to work with as well. So it's kind of a mix of a feeling, but the work will kind of be the same thing. In Lloydminster, I was also leading the youth, and if that be for volunteer services in city or highway cleanup or other aspects, for example, Run for Lloydminster that we did, all part of, especially youth contributed a lot. So similarly, that kind of stuff that I will be doing on a bigger, very big scale, on a Canada-wide scale, in Vaughan, Ontario, where the headquarters of our community is.
So you mentioned earlier that you've been here in Lloydminster for 3 years. You were obviously new to Western Canada when you came. Looking back at those 3 years, do you have some memories that you have or some favorite moments of your time here in Lloydminster?
Picking one moment would definitely be difficult, but um, I think there was a time that we had uh, a car show here in Lloydminster. That was, I think, the first year I attended. The second year I wasn't here, and the third year because of the COVID we couldn't do it. That was, I think, what's the name of that car show? Every Wednesday they gather outside of the mall, and especially they gather outside of sports center. So that was amazing for me, especially being attending that. And also some of the works that we do we did volunteer in city, for example, in Bud Miller Park every Canada Day. And some other, picking one part I think would definitely be difficult for me. The whole experience is positive. I have great memories for the town. I don't think that I will ever be able to forget this town.
And looking forward for the community here in Lloydminster, do you know who will be replacing you or coming in the next, once you leave at the end of the month?
Well, I'm not sure, but the community will announce whenever the other missionary will come here.
Mm-hmm. And how does that process work with new missionaries?
I personally, as an imam, I have dedicated my life for the service of our community, and however, wherever the community is, consider suits the recommendation, they recommend that, and they send the proposal to the caliph that we believe in from London, UK. That's where the headquarters of our community is, and he appoints each missionary or each imam to whichever place the community has recommended that this is where they need.
All right, well, thanks for taking some time to talk with me today, Mansoor Azim. Any final thoughts before we go today?
I guess this will be my last message to all of Lloydminster, and especially to our community as well. Despite the politics that I've seen around the world, especially what's happening, recently the incident that happened in France and the things that happened past 3 years in Syria and Arab, I have not seen the same kind of racism and Islamophobia in Lloydminster, and that's a very positive thing for me. Never ever had anyone come to me and say that, the things that people say. So I'm living with very positive experience and very positive memories from Lloydminster, and this is, I think, the way to move forward. If we continue to love each other, if we continue to follow, love in the society, then no color, no faith, no identity, or no ethnicity will ever be feeling, unbearable for anyone. So I think this is the message that I want to give, that keep loving each other, and for the sake of humanity, if you love humanity, I don't think that any color, any faith, any ethnicity, any identity will ever be feeling unbearable to anyone. So love for all, hatred for none.
All right, thanks so much for taking some time to talk with me today, and I wish you the best of luck as you move on in your life.
Thank you very much.
Now, Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking at temperatures right now, still sitting currently right now at -7 degrees. So with the wind chill, it kind of still felt like yesterday, the same temperature there with that -12 wind chill. We are going to have a little bit of a warmer days ahead of us heading into next week here, but we'll get to that in just a second here. But as we take a look at some temperatures in other areas right now, -6 in Vermilion and Edmonton with -5 in Vegreville, -7 also in St. Paul with -6 as we see up north in Cold Lake and in Lac La Biche as well. -7 also in Macklin, Maidstone and St. Walburg. -6 for North Battleford along with Green Lake, -3 up in Isle Lacrosse, then -4 in Provost. Now, let's take a look at the satellite radar map. There's not a whole lot of activity that's going to make its way into Lloydminster. Most of that continues to be into the Edmonton area, where they are expecting snow over through today as well as into the weekend. But as we look at North Battleford overnight, -13 degrees with some cold temperatures continuing on there, so it could feel closer to -20 with that wind chill overnight. And then -4 tomorrow for the daytime high, could feel more so like -13. As we look into Cold Lakes, a little bit of flurries overnight with that -9 degrees -3 daytime high, and then -4 overnight tomorrow for tomorrow's daytime high with 15 km/h winds coming in, making it feel more so like -13. And then for us here at Lloydminster, fairly chilly overnight at -11, and then -6 tomorrow will be our daytime high. So we're still going to get some cold temperatures at least for one more day or so. But as we take a look at the 3-day forecast here, we get a little warmer on Sunday there, so that wind chill does feel a little bit colder though, but -2 is our expected daytime high. But like I said, the wind chill may make it a little bit colder at -17 there. 2 degrees on Monday, as we should have a little bit more sun there with that high, and then a low there of -10 for our daytime low. There is chance in also within the next 7 days we could see some more flurries making its way here into the area, but we'll take a quick commercial break for right now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Earlier this week, Mount Joy Ski Club hosted their annual general meeting where the club announced their new president. Evan Kenny has more on the upcoming ski season.
Joining me today is the president of Mount Joy Ski Resort. That is Chris Bogue. Chris, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Evan.
Now, Chris, your guys' annual AGM was just earlier this week. I guess first things first, do you guys come up with a tentative start date yet?
Yeah, so with the current COVID issues that's going on right now, we're sure if we're going to be able to get our start date any more ahead than it was last year, but it is something that we are trying to push forward.
Now, is there any approximate date whatsoever, or is that still sort of in the works here?
I'm going to say the end of December, the beginning of January is typically when we would open. So we would probably commit to still those dates as of right now, but we are still hoping for an earlier season than that yet.
Now, Chris, I know that there was some updates, some upgrades done to Mount Joy over the summer here. Do you want to just explain maybe what a few changes people could see this upcoming year are?
For sure. So in the last couple of years, we've been socking away some money with the help of Synergy Credit Union kicking us off in what was called Project Snow. And this was to upgrade our water reserves as well as put in additional water lines for additional snowmaking. This summer, BPC actually came out and installed 4 more lines for us. That means over double the amount of snowmaking capabilities in areas that we can cover on our hill. People will see a huge difference in the amount of skiing areas that we can actually use this year.
Yeah, I know one big part of that for you guys was getting some snow on that south side of the hill rather than just relying on the environment. Now, how big do you think these extra water lines will be, especially early in the year, while we don't have as much snow?
Yeah, for sure. Typically, that's what we've seen in the past is in that December when we tried to make snow a lot of the times, we just get cold temperatures, great snowmaking conditions, but it doesn't bring a lot of natural snow along with it. Like you mentioned, the south side of the hill itself, the expansion in that area will almost double our skiability area in the early seasons.
Now, Chris, obviously, we are in the middle of a pandemic with COVID-19. What are a few protocols that we might be seeing at Mount Joy this year?
For sure. So just process efficiencies through our buildings is kind of the biggest thing. We do have a smaller chalet, a smaller rental shop. It's nice and homely, but this year it's going to take a little bit more organization to actually process it through. So we are looking at some softwares for pre-booking pickup times, online ticket sales, online lesson bookings. So we're trying our best, as well as with assistance from Canada West Ski Association. They've been a huge help with us coming up with a new response plan for this.
And now, will things like rentals still be available for customers?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We still want to try to grow the sport this year. And that means new skiers. That's a huge part of our business out there, is introducing people to skiing and snowboarding. So we will definitely be offering rentals again this year.
Now, Chris, as I mentioned at the beginning here, you guys just did have your AGM earlier this week. You want to just maybe briefly break down a couple of the key points for us?
For sure. So we were an 8-person board. Now we're a full 10-person board. We have 5 new fresh faces that are on the board itself. It's excellent. Like-minded people. These fresh faces are going to move Mount Joy forward, continuing to progress as we were in the last couple of years, trying to grow the sport in the area.
And now, Chris, final question here. I know Mount Joy is mainly volunteer run. Are you guys still in search for volunteers for this upcoming season?
Yes, we are always in search for volunteers. We're going to try to organize our volunteers a little bit this year with scheduling, whether it's between preseason, the first part of the season, or the end. Try to schedule people through certain tasks. Always looking for volunteers.
And Chris, how can some people looking to go out and volunteer with you guys get in touch with you?
Great question. So on our website, we actually have a volunteer sign up on our Mount Joy webpage itself, as well as on Facebook. There will be links on there. We will be running a volunteer campaign, so look for those advertisements.
Right on, Chris. Thank you very much for joining me, and I think it's safe to say that we're all excited to get some snow and get back out on the hill.
For sure, Evan. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm very pleased to be joined with here today on Primetime Local News, Canadian country artist Lindsay L. Lindsay, first off, thank you so much for joining us, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Connor, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you for wanting to talk about music and heart theory and all the things. I appreciate you.
One of the things we're talking to you about today is, of course, your music video for the song Want Me Back. You mentioned kind of it's also like a bit of a Sonny and Cher type themed video. So talk about the creative process behind that and why you wanted to kind of go in that Sonny and Cher direction.
You know, I truly love shooting music videos because I feel like they bring songs to life in ways that you always can't get across in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And so we had so much fun shooting the music video for Want Me Back. I really wanted to sort of bring the storyline into a whole other world. Obviously, I love the story of Sonny and Cher, and I was like, how cool would it be to sort of reenact a duo scenario and then show how, you know, she all of a sudden realizes that she wants to step into her own power, which the song is about. You know, it's about being able to see your own confidence and sometimes those areas that we lose sight of whenever we go through breakups or losing loved ones or losing our jobs or go through these transformative times in our lives, and we really lose sense of that like inner brilliance that we need to constantly remind ourselves to spend time with self-love every day. And so so I just loved shooting the music video for Want Me Back specifically because it was all about just reminding yourself of that, you know, being able to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I've got this.
You touched on a little bit about your new album, Heart Theory, which came out a couple of months ago. What was the creative process for that album, as well as what direction were you hoping to take it in when you were in the early stages of writing it?
You know, I have had so much fun and it's also just been so therapeutic to write this album over the course of the past 2.5 years. I feel like music is such a universal language, and it's so healing, whether you're listening to it, writing it, singing it. It's just that force that can connect us all together as human beings on this planet. And writing Heart Theory has just been so incredible and a way for me to really process a lot of what's happened over the past few years. And I was about halfway through writing this record when I realized, you know, I'm writing a concept album of everything that I've been through in life. And how cool would it be to be able to put this as my album, write a concept album that essentially becomes like a musical diary of this time in my life. And so I wrote an album about the 7 stages of grief. And, you know, the 7 stages of grief is just one way to articulate that process. And I really wanted to bring fans through this musical diary of, you know, shock and denial and anger, all the way to the last stage of acceptance, being able to look at the mirror and accept yourself for everything that you've been through and everything that's happened to you in your life, because it truly is what makes us who we are. You know, as human beings, it makes you grateful and appreciative for the highs and the lows, because they are what make us stronger and give us that perspective to be able to learn from the past and implement it into the future, to make better decisions and to truly be appreciative of everything that we have.
you have a couple of hit singles on that album, and you see them being so popular on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music as well. How do you handle the fact that you're gaining so much more notoriety and popularity?
Connor, it is an absolute dream come true. You know, I have been doing this ever since I was a little girl. I've been writing songs ever since I was 10 years old. I've been playing shows ever since I was 10 years old. And so to finally see numbers on Spotify and Apple Music and all of these things growing and being able to be like, my music is being heard by millions of people. This is crazy. Can you pinch me? Like, this is crazy. But I'm truly grateful. I'm truly grateful. And I feel like I'm getting to wake up and do what I love and call it a job every day. And that is insane and so incredible. And yet, even more importantly, I'm getting to inspire, hopefully, the fans that I'm writing this music for. And I think that, you know, I've always wanted to do music as a job because it's what I love so dearly much. But it's also what I feel can spread this message of just being better humans and treating each other how we want to be treated, and teaching each other how to love each other better, because I think that's how we can heal our world.
And lastly, when I talk to other artists and I ask them, you know, what are they doing during the pandemic? Some say, you know, I'm working on music or I'm taking up some new hobbies. What are some things you're doing during the pandemic right now?
Yeah, you know, I have been busy getting a bike. I've been doing a lot of biking, which has been fun. I've been getting to cook a lot. It's crazy because we were on the road so much last year. We played over 230 shows. And so, you know, we were probably gone 280 days out of last year, which it's just a lot of moving around. And so you sometimes take for granted the things that you always have at your disposal, like having a fridge. And so I have loved just being able to cook a lot. I love cooking so much. And so it's been amazing just to be able to be in my kitchen and cook food and bake. And so I've been having a lot of fun doing that.
Well, Lindsay, I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on all the success that you've had.
Oh, Connor, thank you so much for wanting to talk to me today and wanting to bring light to Heart Theory. I just really hope this album can be heard by the ears that need to hear it. And I just appreciate you.
The Legion in Lloydminster is hosting a fall supper coming up tomorrow evening. It's an opportunity for you to treat yourself, treat your family to a turkey meal with all the fixins, and you get to support the Legion in Lloydminster. They're going to be serving up between 5 and 7 p.m. 4:30 p.m. is senior priority. There will be curbside pickup, and also there will be a few seats in the Legion as well, following all the different health guidelines to keep everybody safe during COVID-19. You can pre-book your meal right now by calling 780-808-1159. Show off your creativity, have some fun with your family, and win some cool prizes with the Lloydminster and District SPCA. They are hosting the Ultimate Pumpkin Patch Match. An animal-themed carved pumpkin is what they're looking for from you and your family. So maybe you're going to carve a scary cat, or maybe it's going to be a spooky dog on your pumpkin. Get that carving done this weekend. Send your photo to the Lloydminster and District SPCA, and you'll have a chance to win some really cool prizes. Make sure your entry is in by Monday for your chance to win. And coming up tomorrow, it's a physical distancing food drive that's taking place. The ATV is helping out with this food drive that's going to be taking donations for the Salvation Army Food Bank. They ask that you leave your donation on your front doorstep by 10 a.m. tomorrow, and volunteers will come by and pick up those donations. There's also going to be a food drive next Saturday at the Lloyd Mall. You can drop off a donation there, or they're currently taking donations right now at DG Tech, and those will also go to the Salvation Army Food Bank. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
Well, joining us once again for the weekly entertainment panel is Abby St. John. Abby, it's almost time for Halloween. I know next week we'll talk a little bit more about some of our favorite type Halloween movies in terms of horror, but we're talking a little bit more on a broad spectrum here because of people that have really helped shape the horror industry into what it is today, like some big names in movies. And there's three in particular that really kind of got the ground running for that genre.
Yes, definitely. Now with horror, there's like any other movie genre, there's multiple subgenres within the larger horror scheme. It's kind of like an umbrella. There's many different types of horror movies, starting with slasher and paranormal, and then you have the zombie slash monster movies. So there's definitely different types of movies for everybody, because some people may not be into the ghosts or the paranormal, but they could be into the classic slashers with all the gore and the blood. Now, you did mention that there were many directors and producers who have paved the way for horror. George A. Romero, who did Night of the Living Dead, he's known as the father of the zombie film, and that pegged the way for many different zombie movies, TV shows, The Walking Dead, and that kind of stuff. So he did that big series, Night of the Living Dead. He also did Creepshow as well. And then you have John Carpenter, who did Halloween and The Thing and The Fog. So you have different types of horror movies under his belt, Halloween being one of his biggest successes, Jamie Lee Curtis being pegged one of the scream queens of the horror genre. Halloween has made multiple movies, including the 2018 remake, and they're pegged for 2 more films after that. 2021, we're going to see another one, and then 2022 will be the final Halloween movie. So that's definitely exciting that we're still, today's audience will still be able to live the Halloween movies that people back in the 70s and 80s were able to experience as well. And then you have Wes Craven, who gave us the Scream franchise, which is one of my favorite horror franchises. And then you also have A Nightmare on Elm Street, which was one of a great classic slasher movies, which is still big here today. It's actually being played at May Cinema 6 tonight. That's just an incredible one. It's what got Johnny Depp's career started. So that one is also a huge, huge movie. And then he also directed The Hills Have Eyes, which is also another creepy, very gory movie, but it is definitely very good if you're into the bigger slasher horror genre. And then you have Jason Blum, who isn't a director, but he is a producer who has his own production company called Blumhouse Productions. Now, they do a lot more non-horror movies as well, but some notable ones going into the paranormal, Sinister, all the Paranormal Activities, and Insidious. He produced all of those, and then Happy Death Day, which was over a few years ago. He also produced that one as well. And then you also have William Friedkin, who did The Exorcist, which is still a classic to this day, because that one really paved the way for paranormal movies. That one really set the course and set the stage for many, many decades of paranormal movies after that. So those are some of the directors and producers who have really paved the way for horror movies today, and then a lot of those are still classics to this day that people still pull inspiration from, or are showing their children, showing this generation these movies, really showing where horror started, and they still hold up to this day, and I still get a little bit creeped out by some of them to this day.
Yeah, I get creeped out by horror movies just in general, just because that's kind of who I am. I'm more of an it person myself, but that's a next week topic there. But another one, I know you mentioned TV with Walking Dead being another big kind of horror type TV show. I know Ryan Murphy, who we all know from Glee. We didn't know he had this kind of side to him. I know he's pretty famous for American Horror Story, which has had a big impact when it comes to the world of television there, Abby.
Yes, it's going on. It's on its 10th season right now, but it's been going on for 9 years so far, and it's a murder or a horror anthology. So every season's different, but they do have a lot of returning stars: Evan Peters, Sarah Paulson, Kathy Bates, Dennis O'Hare, Jessica Lange, Angela Bassett. They've all been in multiple seasons of this show, just playing different characters. So you have Murder House at the first season, which is a haunted house that, you know, anyone who lives in there ends up being murdered. And then Asylum, taking a look at a mental institution. Coven, dealing with a coven of witches. Freak Show, which is kind of like a carnival circus type show. And then Hotel, which gave Lady Gaga her first Golden Globe for Best Actress. That one deals with more vampires and the undead and blood-sucking type of that. Then Roanoke, which is actually kind of loosely based on a real story of early settlers on the island of Roanoke, and how an entire settlement just disappeared and vanished with no trace. And then Cult, which dealt with the 2016 presidential election. Apocalypse, and then the recent season, 1984, which kind of did a spoof on Friday the 13th and those classic slasher movies, dealing with a group of camp counselors for the summer. So that TV show is a great great series for anyone who loves the horror genre, who wants something different every season. That's a perfect show to watch. It's amazing. The acting is phenomenal. The special effects, the storylines, they always keep you engaged. So I would highly recommend American Horror Story to anyone who is a fan of the horror. And the nice thing about this, since it's an anthology, you don't have to necessarily start from season 1. You can pick which ones you kind of gravitate towards more so, and you won't get lost.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to binge there. And as well as you mentioned it quickly, there are a lot of different horror movies playing throughout May Cinema here. So if you are one of those you want to see one of those cult classics like Nightmare on Elm Street, Beetlejuice is out playing tonight, as well as we'll see movies like The Thing and others playing next week. Abby St. John, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast here. -6 tomorrow. We're going to have a few more days of cold temperatures. -3 on Sunday. Then we get a little bit warmer on Monday there with that high of 1. And then also 8 degrees there on Tuesdays. We also get a little bit warmer in the morning as well. 4 degrees with clear skies on Wednesday. Cloud coverage and a high of 3 on Thursday with a low there of -6. And then a high of 2 degrees this time next week with that low of -5 as well, with mostly sun and a bit of cloud coverage.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.